Been trying to change what I've been trying to say. Words don't come straight from my head to my mouth. It's such a shame that it fell out of place. Was never me that was bringing you down. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for more? Always looking for more. Why we always looking for more? Why we always looking for I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change what you wanted. I wish that I could change.
It's Bristol, baby. Welcome, everybody, here as we get set for the 6th race of the 5th season of the NNSCRA Duracell Cup Series under the lights at the world's fastest half-mile, Bristol Motor Speedway. It's the second time that we're going to see the Tri-Terry drivers of the respective teams get set, and they have to do it at maybe one of the toughest tracks on the circuit, because it's going to be the closest quarter racing that you're going to see, maybe outside of super speedways, and it's also going to be one of the maybe first tracks that we've gone to the entirety of the schedule so far where track position is going to be very, very important. Now granted, since we only have a total of 28 drivers in the field as opposed to what would normally be a full field of 42, it's not going to be quite as difficult, I guess, for drivers that start towards the rear of the field to work their way up at least to the top 10, maybe to the front, depending on circumstances here tonight. But it still is going to be difficult for these guys to be able to make passes and make forward progress, especially if they don't have the starting track position immediately out of the gate. On the flip side, though, if you've got the good starting track position, you're going to have to be the first one to worry about catching up to the tail end of the field where things are going to be stacked up, and you're going to have to not only battle your way through traffic, but also keep the drivers behind you that are trying to get the race lead. And maybe eventually the race win away from your grasp. But it's 150 laps here tonight, definitely much longer than what we've gone. I think most, at least the longest race we've run in a past Duracell Cup Series schedule here has been 100 laps, so add another 50% onto that, and we'll see how those extra 50 laps are going to play out into today's finish. We're going to be, obviously, giving you the starting lineup for this evening's event, but let's take a look at the point standings coming into this one, as last week saw rookie Bradley Ream. I actually was told by Zach Rogers that's how to pronounce the name, so I was doing Ream, I was doing Rhyme, but finally find out the correct answer, or the correct pronunciation is Ream, as he ended up leading Lake Effect Autosport to a 1-2 finish last week at ISM. He is obviously going to be able to lock, for the moment, the number 74 car into the playoffs, and the point standings subsequently look like this. And apparently, hold on one second, apparently the hotkey's not working. Give me one moment here. See if I can figure out why. Ah, now I know why it's not working. There's the point standings. I was on the wrong scene. My apologies there. So, Haas Racing and Pigeon Racing, the 8 and the 19, they are tied for the points lead now. Gunther Motorsports still up there in third, only 1 point back, and then only 6 points back is the 93 out of KB Racing Enterprise, of course, with the win from William Micros back at Manassas. You'll notice down there, just inside of the top 10, there's the 74 car that Bradley Ream put in victory lane last week. They've jumped up now into the top 10 in the standings. 3 of our 5 previous winning rides are currently inside of the top 10. You go a little bit further down, and that's where you're going to find a team that really took a hit in the point standings. The one team with Trent Dunham's dead last finish last week. They are 11th in the points now. You've got the former winning 77 team right now, 13th. There's the 47 Lake Effect Autosport, when Stephen Colon last week finished second place to his teammate. So they jump up to 12th in the overall standings. And then you got to go quite a ways down before you end up finding the 11 team out of TCW Racing. Now remember, Cole Baker at Atlanta put that car in victory lane. They moved up, I think it was up to 22nd in points heading into ISM last week. And unfortunately, a DNF from Tristan Allen puts them back down towards the bottom of the point standings. They are 26th in points coming to this one now. Granted, they're down there in points, but that victory still has them in a playoff position as things currently stand. Number 95 team, of course, we saw Sam Arndt have his debut last week. Zachary Taylor is going to be in the 95 here for his debut here tonight. Now, you may have noticed there in the point standings that the 32 team for Pigeon Racing, having made all the starts so far this season, is last of those drivers in the point standings. Well, they're on point for this one. The former champion Ryan Acosta going to sit on the pole position alongside of the 47 of Daniel Voiles. Now, of course, the 47 team finishing second last week would like to finish one position better. Voiles is looking for his first career win. For Ryan Acosta, believe it or not, he's looking for only his second career win. His only win was back at Martinsville in Season 2, where he would go on eventually to lock himself into the playoffs and go on to win the eventual championship, all while driving a Toyota for Joanna Atwood Motorsports. But enough talk. It's time to go down trackside. It's time to get those most famous words in motorsports right after the singing of the national anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in
Drivers, start your engines!
Ryan Acosta going to be the one to lead us to green. Daniel Voiles will start to his outside in second place. Alexander Rowe and Jordan Lopez make up row number 2. Row 3 with Will Goss and Adam Garcia. Michael Norman and Allison Rodrigo in row 4. And Caleb Fogler, Jackie Halick are going to complete the top 10. Harrison Ponder and Keith Batson in row 6. Peter Crone and Mitchell Collins in row 7. Row 8 finds Andrew Davis and Benjamin Miles. Row 9, Matthew Rodriguez, Andrew Gonzalez. Zachary Taylor making his debut is with James Shelley in row 10. Carson Grob, Cole Deaver in row 11. Jacob Thibodeau, Mike Tellier in row 12. Riley Henry, Robert Crown Jr., Colin Cropley, and Alex Tankard as we are green here under the lights at Bristol. Very quick lap 1 there at just about 16 and a half seconds for pole sitter Ryan Acosta. Daniel Voiles falling into the clutches of Alexander Rowe for the second spot. Will Goss looking on as he slips up the track and opens the door for Michael Norman on the inside. This guy's got to get this second place battle settled out quickly because Ryan Acosta is pulling away. Already a half second over these guys. Looks like Rowe may complete the pass here out of turn 4, and indeed he will. Michael Norman looking to follow in the tire track. So as the Starbucks Coffee Toyota Camry out of Auto Junction Racing moves into the runner-up spot, we'll see now in clean air if he can start reeling in Ryan Acosta for the race lead. Michael Norman clears into the third spot. Ryan Acosta on it as that last time by 15.390 for the lap. We are guaranteed a brand new winner here at Bristol in the Duracell Cup Series, as all 4 of our former race winners are not in tonight's field. Kyle Matthews was the inaugural winner back in Season 1. Jose Mills winning in Season 2. Nathan Orman picked up the victory in Season 3, and Trey Wright was the defending winner coming into tonight's race weekend. Caleb Folger has now moved into the 4th spot. Will Goss up into 5th, and the battle is on now between Harrison Ponder and Daniel Voiles for the final spot inside of the top 5. Give it looks like to Harrison Ponder as Daniel Voiles trying somehow to get himself down to the inside line, continuing to lose positions. Here's second place, Alexander Rowe, under fire from Michael Norman. 78 team, as we saw in pre-race, 8th in the overall point standings. The one team after the DNF last week at ISM, dropping outside the top 10 in the points. Currently 11th in the standings. And of course, we mentioned the 32 team. Out of 28 teams, 27th in the overall standings. So good runs right now for both him and for Will Goss in that 11 car, because both of those teams really need something good to happen here. Now granted, the 11 car went to victory lane with Cole Baker at Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, but as far as the point standings are concerned, they need a lot of help. This battle for second's not going away, and it's about to become a 3, maybe a 4-car fight. As Michael Norman not able to get around Alexander Rowe, Caleb Fogler starting to close in, and Will Goss not too far back as well. Let's talk about this 09 team with Kyle Matthews and Stephen Pollard III, Caleb Fogler. Pollard and Fogler both making their Duracell Cup Series debuts this season, but, you know, I'm going to kind of call this the sleeper team, and the fact that they really haven't been up at the forefront of our television screens week after week, but they've been consistent, quietly consistent. They're 6th in the overall standings right now, so I don't think in any way, shape, or form there's going to be a team that's going to point their way into the playoffs this season, but if there was that kind of an opportunity, I would look at that 09 team. I honestly don't think that 09 team is very far from getting into victory lane, to be honest. Now, one thing we're going to have to keep an eye on here with Ryan Acosta is how quickly he starts reeling in the tail end of the field. Right now, Adam Garcia is scored last on the racetrack in the 28th position, about 9.5 seconds back. And if it only takes about a little over 15 seconds for Ryan Acosta to complete a lap here, as that last time by, not this time, but the last time by, he just ran his fastest lap of the race again with a 15.254. he's only about maybe 2 corners away from catching the tail end of the field, which is exactly what these guys want to see. They want him to get slowed down, want him to get held up, so that way they can try to reel him in for the race lead. Let's drop a little bit further back here inside of the top 10 as battle on for 6th. Andrew Davis trying to get the 93 team their second win on the season after William Micros got them their first back at Las Vegas. Harrison Ponder trying to get the 48 team out of the bottom of the point standings as they're right now 25th in overall points. Matthew Rodriguez, of course, we mentioned the fact that the 19 and the 8, those two respective teams come into this race tied for the points lead. Well, look at this. Peter Crone, Matthew Rodriguez for the respective numbers. They are currently battling for the 8th position. Jacob Thibodeau. There were a couple of teams last week that really did a good job of jumping up in the point standings coming into that ISM race really low in points. One of those teams was the 47 out of Lake Effect Autosport. They jumped up to now 12th in the point standings, but also the 6 team and the 31 team. Ryan Brommer and Zach Rogers doing a good job for their pigeon racing respective teams, as the 6 team is now 15th in points and the 31 team is 18th in points. It's Colin Cropley. I mentioned about the fact that I felt it was going to be difficult for drivers to work their way through the field. 2 drivers have proved me wrong. Colin Cropley started this race from the 27th position, and he is already up to 11th. And just behind him, Alex Tanker out of Joanna Atwood Motorsports started shotgun on the field. He's made it more than halfway up through the running order, currently running in the 12th position. So great job by both of those drivers to pick up early track position in this one. And the last time that all these drivers were on track was, of course, at Las Vegas. And there is the guy that went to victory lane, Robert Crown Jr. Right now running in 13th position, trying to look for what would be his second career Duracell Cup Series victory and only his second start of the season. I believe slower traffic is about to come into play. Ryan Acosta has caught up to his teammate James Shelley, as well as the 21 of Allison Rodrigo. 21 team 5th in the point standings. So this is not the run they were looking for, and Rodrigo's going to be the first car put -1 to race leader Ryan Acosta. Acosta had built up a 3.5 second lead back to the ongoing battle from 2nd back to 5th. We'll see if dealing with this traffic is going to slow him up and bring those drivers to his back bumper. I just get the feeling that Alexander Rowe is slower than Michael Norman. But Norman not able to make the pass. Alexander Rowe's got the track position. He's being able to give Michael Norman no breathing space to be able to make a move and make a pass. Caleb Fogler now catching up here as well, and Will Goss. Throw a blanket over 2nd through 5th. But I just get a feeling, let's look at the lap times here, and well, Norman is running a little bit slower than Alexander Rowe, but that stands to reason since he's running behind him right now. Just feel like if they can move the 78 out of the way, that Michael Norman, Caleb Fogler, and Will Goss might be able to get up there to Ryan Acosta, who, for the time being, seems content to ride behind his teammate James Shelley in the 31 car. There's the 74, Andrew Gonzalez. That car was in victory lane last week with Bradley Ream, and right now running 25th on the racetrack. Remember, they jumped up to 10th in the overall standings, and it doesn't matter where you are in the points, as long as you've got a victory this season, you're in the hunt for getting into the playoffs. And there's a 55 car. Mike Tellier right now running in the 24th position. We were following the battle between Peter Crone and Matthew Rodriguez for the points lead. Only 1 point back was the 55 team out of Gunther Motorsports. Right now, not running quite as well as they would like to. Still on the lead lap, but not by much. We've had a pass for 4th. Will Goss getting around Caleb Fogler. It's the DoorDash Toyota Camry dashing through the top 5 as he'll now try and reel in Michael Norman and Alexander Rowe. seeing a lot of nose-to-tail battling going on right now, and a big reason for that is it's not easy to be able to make a pass here at Bristol. Bristol is a rhythm track, and really there's two ways that you can make a pass on somebody, especially if you get into a long run like this. First method is you can bump your opponent out of the way and make the pass, or you could kind of take the high road and wait until the driver you're trying to pass makes a mistake, kind of pressure them, intimidate them into making a mistake without necessarily making contact. You notice how Andrew Davis is right up on the back bumper of Harrison Ponder, pressuring him, and ooh, right there, I think actually Davis may have intimidated himself, slipped up the track a little bit there and lost a tiny bit of ground to that silver camo National Guard Chevrolet Camaro. As a matter of fact, he's getting reeled in here by Matthew Rodriguez, who's been able to distance himself for the time being from Pierce Crone. So as things stand right now, neither driver has led a lap. They would still be heading into next week really close in the point standings. They would actually be, 1 point separation, the 19 over the 8. Looking back here at Ryan Acosta again, just checking on the race leader who continues to ride behind James Shelley. Now you're probably wondering, why is he not passing the 31? Well, that's a teammate. 31 car and the 32 car, both out of the same stable of Pigeon Racing, and so therefore Ryan Acosta, in case a caution were to come out, is trying to make sure that he doesn't lap his teammate, gives him an opportunity to still be on the lead lap. He actually went way up the track there, I noticed, which not only lost him some ground to Shelley, but also brings Allison Rodrigo back into the picture to try and get his lap back. There you see him again, moving up the racetrack, trying to find some grip, it looks like. His right side's kind of straddling just above that dark gray. That could be a case of the tires wearing down. Well, two things that we are not used to seeing, one happening right now and the other one may be happening soon. The thing that's happening right now is we're under a long green flag run. It's been a while. Atlanta was a wreck fest. ISM was a wreck fest. I mean, let's be perfectly honest and call a spade, but so far we're about to maybe complete a third of this Bristol race, a short track that's known for the beating and banging and tearing up of equipment, and so far we're yet to see a yellow flag wave here. So that leads to something else that we may end up seeing for the first time, and that might be green flag pit stops here at Bristol Motor Speedway. I'm trying to remember back. Most of the races that we ran here at Bristol in the past on the Duracell Cup Series schedule were 75 laps in total, and for the most part, drivers were able to make it that distance on what they had in the tank. Double that total, though, and I think it's pretty obvious we are going to end up seeing green flag pit stops, and that's when things get really interesting. You can't really liken a short track to a super speedway. You can't liken Bristol to Daytona, but you can in two regards. Number one, as I mentioned at the top of the broadcast, you can have really close quarter racing the entirety of the event. And the other thing is the green flag pit stops, if we go into a long green flag run, is definitely going to shuffle up the field, especially in the fact of if we end up having drivers that short pit, they're going to have the advantage of fresher tires much earlier than other drivers will. Here's some drivers just outside of the top 10 that are battling. Jackie Halleck, Cole Deaver, and Daniel Voiles, who, remember, starting the outside of the front row. He finally found somewhere to tuck in line in the 16th position. So had the good starting track position, but did not have the line that he wanted, and subsequently lost a number of spots at the initial drop of the green flag. Now, he did not get hurt nearly as badly and getting caught in that outside line as did Jordan Lopez and Adam Garcia. Those two drivers started on the outside of rows 2 and 3. Where are they running right now? They're running towards the tail end of the field. There is Lopez right now in 22nd, and there is Adam Garcia back in the 21st position. So I guess when it comes to Bristol, you want the good starting track position, but you want it on the inside line. Because if you're on the outside line, it's the longer way around the racetrack, and you're just going to get freight trained. I guess that's another way you could liken Bristol to a super speedway. Carson Grob in the 65. running the 20th position. The 65 team 14th in the point standings coming into this one. And up ahead, how about the 99 team? Levi McIntyre breaking away from Blue Oval Automotive. He brings on 2 rookie drivers, Andrea Serra and Riley Henry. Henry doing the driving duties here tonight. And so far in the first 5 races, that team is sitting 7th in the overall standings. Tremendous job by those drivers, and good call there by Levi McIntyre to formulate his own team. He knew the talent he was bringing on, has the prior knowledge of what Ford equipment can do with his multiple seasons with BOA, and applying it here as we've got pit stops. Allison Rodrigo, who was the, up to that point, only car 1 lap down, has hit pit lane. Strategy call there. I like it. And we might have some more pitting, as I've seen a lot of drivers drifting up the racetrack. Well, maybe it might be a little bit more sinister than we thought. Rodrigo still sits on pit lane. And the reason that Rodrigo is sitting on pit lane, apparently hit for speeding. Has been black flagged, has to serve the penalty, and there's yet another aspect of what Bristol could bring to the table if we see green flag pit stops. Who's going to be able to get that car woed down to 35 miles per hour? Who's going to avoid the penalty? We ended up having last week at ISM a number of drivers get hit with penalties for what was then restart violations. So the NSCRA officials out in full force apparently, as I believe Rodrigo still sits on pit lane. This has been a fun battle to watch here for the last 20 laps or so. Will Goss got around Caleb Fogler but was not able to drive away. Fogler is still there, hounding for that spot inside of the top 5. Right now, 4th and 5th is where these two are running. As Ryan Acosta continues to run behind James Shelley. Now, one thing that I'm noticing here as well is Ryan Acosta, he's not running away with this lead. Granted, a lot of people would look at the telemetry and say 4.5 seconds. Yeah, he's got this thing in hand. Not necessarily. If he had, maybe 7 seconds to 10 seconds, I would say, yeah, I think he's run away with it. But he's still within striking distance, and now he definitely will be as race leader hits pit road. Oh, it's actually 45 miles per hour, not 35 for these drivers on pit speed, as here comes some more. Tanker, Voiles, Harrison Ponder. There's Alexander Rowe, who was running in seconds. That turned the race lead over, I believe, to Michael Norman. And Norman now dives it on with Caleb Fogler. So would that be Tristan Allen taking the race lead, I do believe? It would be. All right, to make that Will Goss, rather. Wrong driver of the 11. Allen was last week. And Will Goss got the lap lead. Now he's in. Andrew Davis, Matthew Rodriguez, Colin Cropley going to follow him. Pierce Crone, I believe, is going to be the new race leader. And he dives onto pit lane now, along with Robert Crown Jr. There was Alexander Rowe leaving pit lane with Harrison Ponder. He was not nearly as fast as Ryan Acosta, so let's see if they made any adjustments to that 78 car. See if he can reel Ryan Acosta in on this green flag run. Field's going to get very spread out here as well. And Ryan Acosta might have made the move of the race, at least at this point in time, being the first one on pit lane. Yeah, he was the race leader, but he also gave up the lead to get the fresh tires, so he was able to have the out laps on fresh rubber a lot quicker than everybody else. Pierce Crone, Robert Crown Jr., and Riley Henry just now leaving pit lane, and that turns the race lead back over to Ryan Acosta, who is dealing with traffic. It was Andrew Gonzalez he just made the pass on around the outside. Gonzalez, Benjamin Miles, Jacob Thibodeau, and James Shelley are all now a lap down. And the 21 of Allison Rodrigo still sits on pit lane, so there's actually something going on, I believe, mechanically with that race car. Their day effectively is done. That is a tough break for a team that came into this race 5th in the overall standings. So all this right here is actually battling for position from 24th back to 27th. It was about 4.5 seconds, the difference from Acosta to Alexander Rowe when the pit stops began. It is now 5.5 seconds. And let's see if the interval closes up at all between these guys. It's about the same as they ran almost identical lap times, a 15.546 for Acosta and a 5.47 for Alexander Rowe. Well, Ryan Acosta, very good at the short tracks, obviously. His only career win coming at a track just a little bit longer in length, Martinsville. All the way back in Season 2. It was his only victory on the year, where he would go on to the playoffs and he would hold off Ryan Brommer to win the championship. We had this as a trivia question. I believe it was back at Daytona, or maybe it was during the clash at Bowman Gray, but Ryan Acosta is the only driver in the field that has driven 3 different manufacturers, actually, correction, 4 different manufacturers in his career. Drove a Toyota, he's driven a Dodge, he's driven a Chevrolet, and he has driven a Ford. Now, he's driven the Ford, Toyota, and Dodge, all when he was with Janwin Outman Motorsports, and now Chevrolet over here with Pigeon Racing. He's about to put one champion, about to put another champion a lap down, Jordan Lopez, in the 38 car. Way up the track. Wow, did you see how loose he got up there in the marbles? Nice save, but really struggling here today. And the 22nd position. Let's try and see if any battling is going on up inside of our top 5, as here is the second place battle. Will Goss has moved his way up into 3rd place, and he is all over the back bumper of Alexander Rowe. One driver that really lost time on pit lane, and that would be Michael Norman in the 1 car. When the pit stop cycle began, I believe he was running in the 3rd position. He cycles around to 11th. So big hit there for him. As far as track position, pit road not kind in his regard. And another driver, I believe, that also didn't fare as well on pit lane was Riley Henry in the 99, as he's now 16th in the running order, just behind the debuting Zachary Taylor, the Home Depot Chevrolet, that new entry, as we've documented the last couple of weeks, out of Evans Gardner Motorsports. Battle for 6th. About to have 4 or 5 participants. Andrew Davis looks back in his rearview mirror, sees Matthew Rodriguez, Pierce Crone, Cole Deaver, and Robert Crown Jr. Race lead keeps widening, but not by much, by about maybe a couple hundredths a lap. So Alexander Rowe has made some kind of adjustment, at least to keep himself somewhat on pace with race leader Ryan Acosta, but he does have company again. This time it's not Michael Norman, this time it's Will Goss. And Will Goss has got one of the better cars on the long run here out of the drivers inside of the top 5. But can he complete the pass around Alexander Rowe is the question. It's all about really the drive off. That's going to give you the advantage of making the move before you get to either the entrance of turn 1 or the entrance of turn 3. If you're not able to get that drive off, then your momentum is stalled and you actually have to wait another 3 or 4 laps before being able to make a charge again. As I said, Bristol's one of those rhythm tracks, which is what makes it so difficult to be able to make a pass. Not sure what's happened to Alex Tanker. We were documenting he and Colin Cropley doing a masterful job of working their way through the field after starting in the final row. Colin said Tanker had worked his way all the way up inside of the top 15, but now after the pit stops, he is a lap down, back in the 25th position. And there's a number of drivers that join him -1 to the race leader, Ryan Acosta, who continues to go to work. Now going to go to the inside of Adam Garcia, the 3-time winner from last season. Garcia now going to go -1. Lopez, Andrew Gonzalez, Mike Tellier, Benjamin Miles, Jacob Thibodeau, Alex Tanker, James Shelley, and Kat Batson all running off the lead lap to Ryan Acosta, who, if this was a normal Bristol race in the past seasons, would have either already won this race or would be 7 laps away from picking up the victories. I'm pretty sure 100 laps was the longest Duracell Cup Series race we've had so far. I don't remember what season that was, though. I think that might have been back in season 3, perhaps? Jackie Halleck and Mitchell Collins would be the next drivers on Acosta's hit list, as they're running about maybe 3/4 of a straightaway ahead of him in the battle right now for 17th place. Will Goss continues to push the pressure on Alexander Rowe, Harrison Ponder all over the back bumper of Caleb Fogler. Now remember, when these drivers came to pit road, I think we were just around the halfway mark, so I don't think these guys can make it on fuel. So pit road, I think, is still going to have a part to play in the outcome of this race. And if it does, and if we were as close as I think we were, some drivers might actually be willing to try and stretch it to the checkered flag. Ryan Acosta, I don't think, can do that. He was the first one on pit lane of anybody, with the exception of Allison Rodrigo, who we've already documented still sits on pit lane. They've got the hood up on that 21, and I think at some point they may end up just pushing that car back to the garage. There's no way he can really be able to pick up any more positions, as he's already 41 laps down. More than likely will finish in the 28th position. And we saw how last week a poor performance for a team like Michael Norman Motorsports in the 1 car dropped them from inside the top 5 in the points to outside the top 10 in the points. I think that the 21 team who came into this race 5th in the overall standings, they're going to suffer a similar fate. Well, we are closing down 50 laps to go. Let's give you a full field rundown of where everybody currently is, as we may be having at least one more pit stop looming in the future of these drivers. Ryan Acosta has put on a dominating performance here tonight. Started on the pole, just led his 98th lap of the race, as he currently holds almost 7 seconds back to the 2nd position, which right now is Alexander Rowe. 3rd place, Will Goss, who's led 2 laps so far here tonight, one of only 3 race leaders. Caleb Fogler runs in 4th. Harrison Ponder is 5th. 6th is Andrew Davis. Matthew Rodriguez trying to put the 19 car to the top of the point standings heading next week, as he runs 7th. Pierce Crone, the Daytona 500 winning race car, runs in the 8th position. He's the other driver that's led a lap. Cole Deaver runs in 9th, and Michael Norman just completed a pass for the 10th position, getting around Robert Crown Jr. Crown Jr. now under fire from Daniel Voiles, who will move into the 11th position, it looks like. Robert Crown Jr. going to drop back to 12th. 13th is where we find Colin Cropley. 14th, Carson Grob. And right now, 15th position is held by Zachary Taylor. He's under fire, though, from Riley Henry in 16th, 17th, Mitchell Collins, 18th place, Jackie Halleck. And those are the only drivers currently on the lead lap, and it may be fewer than that in the next couple of laps, as Ryan Acosta has reeled in the 17 and the 12. 19th place is Adam Garcia, first car 1 lap down. Jordan Lopez in 20th place. Andrew Gonzalez 21st, Mike Tellier 22nd, Jacob Thibodeau is 23rd. Benjamin Miles in 24th, 25th, Alex Tanker, 26th, James Shelley, Kat Batson in 27th, last car running. Allison Rodrigo will finish 28th place here tonight, as he still sits on pit road. Whoa, almost contact right there for 4th place between Caleb Fogler and Harrison Ponder. So that's a battle for the 4th position. Fogler making only his 2nd career Duracell Cup Series start. Harrison Ponder's made more starts than that, as he drove last season in a non-charter effort for Otter Island Motorsports. And, of course, took part as well in the made his debut in the Duracell Cup Series in the Daytona 500. The Great American Race made his way in through pole day qualifying, if I recall correctly. I believe he started on the outside of the front row for the Great American Race. So he's got more starts under his belt than Caleb Fogler, but still a limited number of starts compared to a number of other drivers in the field here this evening. And this may be the best battle on the racetrack here down the home stretch if green flag pit stops don't mess it up. Andrew Davis, Matthew Rodriguez, Pierce Crone, Cole Deaver, and Michael Norman. That is 6th back to 10th. They have all been in a dogfight, and Rodriguez going to slide up the racetrack there, opening the door for Pierce Crone. This is the battle within the battle. It's a battle for position on track, but it's also a battle for who's going to be the points leader heading into next week. And off the top of my head, I don't remember who the, or where the next venue is going to be. I'll have to look at that in a moment. As Pierce Crone losing a little bit of ground there to Matthew Rodriguez, now falls back into the clutches of Cole Deaver. Now the 0-3 team also took a hit in the point standings last week. Jessica Shelton involved in a wreck at ISM, and I believe finished out of the race in that one. So they dropped to 17th in the overall standings, not doing nearly as well as their S3 Motorsports counterpart team in the 0-9. Cole Deaver was a 2-time winner last year, and so he's trying to see if he can get his team up there a little bit more in the point standings, and both he and Pierce Crone moved up the racetrack. Michael Norman looks like he's trying to pounce. Of course, got hit with that bad pit stop, the only green flag pit stop that we've had so far, as Ponder tried looking low, had to bail out of the throttle there. You saw the car kind of jerk to the left. That car got really tight on him, and he had to bail. So lose more ground there to Caleb Fogler. Will Goss, don't think he's being patient. I think that he's just not able to get around Alexander Rowe. And every lap that he stays behind the 78 is one more lap that he's not able to get up there and try and battle with Ryan Acosta, who, in all honesty, though, I don't think anybody's going to be able to catch outside of him maybe having to come to pit lane before this race is over. Because look at all the lap cars he's got between himself and second place. He's about to put another one in the rearview mirror. Mitchell Collins, the 17 car. This has been nothing short of dominance by Ryan Acosta, who has led 117 of the 120 laps completed. But there's still the big question mark of him being able to make it on fuel. He was the first one on pit lane of the leaders, and so he would be the shortest on fuel as things run right now. And if indeed it is down to the wire, even down to minute laps of whether these guys can make it on fuel, I think the 32 is an absolute no, that he cannot make it the distance. So Rowe, Goss, Fogler, Ponder, even guys back there, Davis, Rodriguez, Crone, who's strategizing, who's saving to try and make it the rest of the way? Give me more traffic for Ryan Acosta to deal with, but he's been very slow and methodical in how he makes his way through traffic, and he's been able to maintain or extend his lead while doing it. So obviously very good when it comes to maneuvering his way through the traffic. So he's got Jackie Halleck and Riley Henry and Zachary Taylor to deal with up ahead in just a few moments. Caleb Fogler has been able to shake Harrison Ponder to hold on to the 4th position for the moment. But notice how that group led by the Days of Thunder Bright Pink, number 93, is starting to reel in that group of 4, and he's bringing Matthew Rodriguez and company with him. So this could be a very interesting battle. As a matter of fact, Michael Norman has Daniel Voiles and Robert Crown Jr. latched onto him. So this could be a battle from 2nd all the way back to 11th between all these guys in just a few moments. So things could get very stacked up for positions inside of the top 10. Nowhere in the vicinity of the race lead, though, as last time by 9 seconds from Ryan Acosta back to Alexander Rowe. A lot of people might forget Alexander Rowe is a former winner in the Duracell Cup Series back at Pikes Peak. It was, if I recall correctly, Season 3 when he drove the number 24 car. No, correction, it was Season 2, actually, when he drove the 24 car for Northeast Motorsports and won at Pikes Peak. Then Nathan Hudson put the 24 car in victory lane the following year at Michigan. And then last year, the 24 car was driven by Arthur Xavier in a non-charter effort and never found victory lane. So that actually killed a streak as well of the 24 car going to victory lane. It had done it in season 1 with Ryan Butcher, and as we mentioned, in seasons 2 and 3. Seasons 2 and 3, it was with rookie drivers. So Alexander Rowe, while not necessarily all that familiar to him being in a Duracell Cup Series car, he did drive a full-time season for Northeast Motorsports back in season 2 and did go to victory lane. And Rowe's on pit lane. Right in front of Will Goss, he slammed on the brakes. I assume Ryan Acosta would be on pit road as well. No, he's not. Rowe's playing the strategy. He feels that taking on the tires now would be the right call. He's going to pit 1 lap sooner than Ryan Acosta. Acosta is going to come in this time. So is that going to be the move of the race? Is that going to help Alexander Rowe? Will Goss going to stay out? We know he can go a couple laps longer. And if Ryan Acosta's in now, this says that nobody's going to be able to make it on fuel. Everybody's going to have to come in before this race is over. As we got a car on the wall. That was Harrison Ponder in the 48. Brushing the wall there. And he's got damage now on the right side of his National Guard. Oh, we got a wreck. Cole Deaver. It's a caution out, though. That was down off the racing surface, and no yellow flag is out. No caution. Oh, this is tight coming onto pit lane with Andrew Davis, Matthew Rodriguez, and Matt Haas. Take it easy there, guys. Will Goss still scored as the race leader as he dives onto pit lane now. Andrew Davis just led that lap in the 93. There he is with Rodriguez. Whoop! Careful. Cole Deaver coming off pit lane. There's going to be a little contact made between those two. There's the 32 of Ryan Acosta, who I'm going to assume is going to cycle out to the race lead, but by how much? Jordan Lopez led that lap as he and Andrew Gonzalez are yet to hit pit lane. There's Gonzalez coming in now. 38 car, I believe, is also in. There he is. He just left pit road. Look out coming off of the pit lane there for these guys. Caution! We've got a yellow! Closing in on 10 laps to go. The yellow flag is out. Now everybody's racing back to the caution. Who's on the lead lap and who isn't is the big question, though, because I think a lot of drivers are going to be trapped the lap down with the timing of this caution flag. This changes up everything, and I guarantee you this is not what Ryan Acosta wanted to see. Now, we might be going back green with less than 10 to go, and I think we are. Yeah, we will be. So I think that the lap cars will still be between Ryan Acosta and his closest competition. Oh, wait a minute. Jordan Lopez is being scored the race leader. On my telemetry, the 38 is being scored the race leader. He had not come to pit road yet. The 38 is on pit lane now. Is he still going to be the leader, though? When everything cycles around, he crosses the line as the race leader. Pulls into his stall. Does he win the battle against Ryan Acosta, though? I don't think he does. I think Acosta is going to bypass him here under pacing. Although, was Acosta a lap down? Was Acosta considered a lap down there to Jordan Lopez? Oh, there's a lot to unpack. There's a lot to unpack. Oh my goodness. Okay, let's see if we can go back and see what brought the caution real quickly here. We're actually going to pause this, just so that way I make sure I don't lose us coming back to green. But we are going to try and see if we can find out why this yellow flag came out, because that just completely shook this race up. Caution lights on. And I'll see if I can pinpoint just exactly where this was. Saw some drivers having some difficulty coming off of pit lane. I wonder if that was the case. Oh, it was Lopez. So watch this. Jordan Lopez was trying to get onto pit lane. Benjamin Miles is coming off of pit road. Now, the question I have is, did the 38 slide across the commitment box? Because if he did, that would be a penalty. Yeah, he was to the left of the commitment box, that orange box there. The contact is made. He slides back out onto the racetrack. And they are still, at least for the moment, showing Jordan Lopez as the race leader. Wow, this could be one of the strangest finishes that I've seen in a long time. How would he not be penalized? He was committed to pit lane. Now, the only thing I'm wondering is, because Benjamin Miles hit him, would then the 38 not be responsible, since he was not in control of his race car, for having committed to pit road but not coming down pit lane? That's going to be the big question. Well, we'll go back to live. We'll see how this plays out. But this is going to be very interesting to see how the scoring places everybody. I think Lopez should be back in the 6th position. We'll see when he crosses the line. Is he the leader? No, he is not. Alright, so it did update correctly. He's going to be still on the lead lap, but it will be Ryan Acosta, the race leader, when we go back green. He's going to have traffic to deal with, but he's going to have traffic behind him as well, because you got to drop all the way back here before you find the 2nd place driver, which is going to be Will Goss. Caleb Fogler lines up in 3rd, Alexander Rowe in 4th. 5th is going to be Jordan Lopez, and that is the last car behind the race leader on the lead lap. There's 6th place, Matthew Rodriguez, who's going to be up at the front. He was stuck behind the pace cars. 7th place, Pierce Crone. 8th will be Michael Norman. 9th, Colin Cropley, and Andrew Davis. Going to complete the top 10. We're getting ready to go back green. Pace car peels off, turns the field over to Benjamin Miles with a total of 9 laps to go. But again, that's not the battle for the race lead, not the battle for the race win. Ryan Acosta in the 32. He's got to do everything he can to just stay on the inside line. He cannot get kicked to the outside line. If he's kicked to the outside line, that's going to open up the door for Will Goss. As now Riley Henry going to make a move there on Andrew Gonzalez. That's 4th position. This is the most traffic that Ryan Acosta's had to deal with all night long. Will Goss is on the inside line back there. If the 32 gets kicked up the outside, Will Goss could have a chance. But Jackie Halleck's not close enough to the 32 car. Watch out for the stack up here. 32 drifts up the track. Will Goss hoping, praying that somebody puts the 32 car up on the outside line, but time's running out for him as well. He'll make the pass on Adam Garcia. Caleb Fogler follows him at 2nd and 3rd place battle right now. Alexander Rowe right now holds the 4th spot with Jordan Lopez in 5th. Ryan Acosta just trying to keep his car pinned to the inside line, trying to tick these laps away. Uh-oh, he slipped up. Jackie Halleck is there. Both cars got loose. And the door is open. Jackie Halleck's going to get to the inside of Ryan Acosta. It's going to be 2 laps to go here. Can Ryan Acosta hold off Will Goss? Can he stay on that outside line long enough to keep Will Goss at bay? I think he can. There's enough cars between them. About 4 or 5 cars. White flag is in the air. 1 more lap to go for the former champion from Season 2. The team that, with all the starts this season, comes in dead last in points. And Ryan Acosta looking for career win number 2. He's gonna get it. Ryan Acosta is gonna win here at Bristol. In a crazy finish. That goes coast to coast here this evening, leading 140 of the 150 laps. His first victory since Season 2, 2nd win of his career, and the 32 team becomes the first Chevrolet team to pick up a victory this season. It's been just Fords and Toyotas up to this point. Standings should be official here. They're going to look rather odd, as there were only 5 drivers that restarted behind race leader Ryan Acosta. Everybody else was on the tail end of the lead lap battling for position. But your top 5 are going to be Ryan Acosta, Will Goss, Caleb Fogler, Jordan Lopez, and Alexander Rowe. Matthew Rodriguez will finish in 6th. And with Pierce Crone dropping down to 11th, that means the 19 team, at least for the time being, looks like could very well be the points leaders heading into next week. Michael Norman, nice comeback run for him after the pit road miscue on the first round of green flag pit stops. He'll finish 7th. Colin Cropley started this race from 27th and finishes inside the top 10 in 8th. Andrew Davis, great run in 9th. And how about Mitchell Collins finishing in 10th? Collins was actually being put a lap down by the race leader under green flag conditions and battled back to finish in the 10th position. Great run for him. Pierce Crone gets 11th, 12th for Carson Grobb. Zachary Taylor in his debut will finish 13th. Cole Deaver in 14th, and Daniel Voiles will finish 15th. Last car on the lead lap was Jackie Halleck in the 16th position. Riley Henry, Alex Tanker, Jacob Thibodeau, and Kat Batson, they complete the top 20. Andrew Gonzalez, Mike Tellier, Adam Garcia, Benjamin Miles, Harrison Ponder, the top 25. 2 laps down was James Shelley. 3 laps down was Roberto Crown Jr. They managed to finish the race, though, and then sitting on pit lane, finishing out the race, 95 laps down and 28th, was Allison Rodrigo. So we are definitely going to see a lot of shuffling in the point standings yet again. The 55 team, the 21 team, they will probably be falling through the point standings. The 1 team, I think, is going to jump back up through the point standings. And it'll be interesting to see, we saw the effect when Cole Baker went to victory lane back in Atlanta, and the 11 team jumped through the point standings. Well, the 32 team is 27th of the 28 cars in the point standings. Be interesting to see with this win here tonight what Ryan Acosta is going to be able to do as far as gaining spots in the point standings heading into next week. Now, we've had a question here about the All-Star race, and I'm going to quickly answer that while I also bring up to find out where we're headed to next week. As far as the All-Star race is concerned, if we end up having multiple drivers of respective teams go to victory lane before the All-Star race, how would they take part? It'd be very much like if you tuned into the Clash earlier on this season, we would end up having each driver in their respective car, their respective scheme, being able to take part. So we could have as many as 3, let's say, number 32 cars in the field for the All-Star race. It's pretty much going to be exactly the same as it was for the Clash in terms of eligibility and in terms of what ride each respective winner would be in. So next week, we are going to be heading to dirt track racing at Springfield. We'll be at the Springfield Mile next Saturday night, so that should be a good one for sure. Going to be the first time that we'll see these drivers on dirt here in Season 5, and it'll be the 3rd time that we see the primary drivers on track here in the 5th season. But Ryan Acosta, dominating performance here tonight. Can't say that enough because it really was. 140 of the 150 laps were led by the 32 car, coast to coast, pole to victory, and a relatively clean race here at Bristol as well. A nice change. You go to Atlanta, you go to ISM. Those are tracks where we expect to see the long green flag runs, and they were wreck fest. You come to a track like Bristol where you expect a wreck fest, and you have those nice long green flag runs. Granted, we did have that very interesting caution right at the very end that kind of shook things up, but still, nice to see the long green flag run and the strategy come into play as well with the pit stops. But hope you guys enjoyed this race here tonight as well. Hope you guys enjoyed the broadcast. If you did, be sure to give a like, subscribe, and become part of the crew today. We have shown you full page results. We'll show you the fallout as far as the point standings in the preliminary news earlier on in next week's broadcast from the Springfield Mile, which will be coming to you next Saturday night with the green flag scheduled to fly at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Hope you guys join us for that. But until then, I've been Seth Cole. Thanks for joining me here tonight as you've been watching another broadcast courtesy of the NNSCRA Offline Racing at its best.